Broadcasting from the 72nd floor of First Canadian Place in the heart of Toronto's financial district, this is #Finance, the podcast that profiles innovative entrepreneurs and thought leaders operating in the public markets. Presented to you by the CSE, the Exchange for Entrepreneurs.
Welcome to another edition of #Finance. I'm your host, Barrington Miller, and today we're atop the 72nd floor of First Canadian Place. We are here with the Alliance, that is the CSE, MNP, and Aird Berlis. I have Glenn Fraser and Sherri Altshuler, and we're going to talk a little bit about MJBiz 2019. Glenn, Sherri, welcome to the CSE.
Thanks for having us, Barrington.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks, Barrington.
Going into MJBiz last year, what were your expectations and were they met?
You know, MJBiz in Las Vegas has always been the preeminent conference for the industry to go to. It's the who's who of the cannabis sector, and it's very well attended, and we expect the same this year.
What about you, Glenn?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been attending the conference for a number of years now, and with a lot of the activity that would have been in the marketplace last year, leading up to the conference, we would have had good expectations or high expectations for the conference. And certainly those were met for sure. It was a well-run event, and I think we had the Alliance, which kicked off last year, had a great first start at the conference.
So we had a little bit of a backstory with the CSE. We've actually been going for 3 years, and we were with MNP. It wasn't planned. I think it was me and Maroof, and we started walking around together, talking to different companies and different booths, and people started asking me accounting questions, and I would just refer to Maroof, and the same about going public. And we sort of, a light bulb went off, and we started rolling with it from there. And then last year, it just completely took off. We did Welcome to Canada Going Public in Canada A, and under that umbrella. So. And
we had the great Canna Cabin.
We had the Canna Cabin. There was
maple syrup,
lollipops. Everyone kept on asking if they're infused.
That's right.
And I said no, but they still took a bunch anyways. What were some of the takeaways that you had from last year, and how will you apply them to MJBiz this year?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in.
Yeah.
You know, corporate lawyers can be notoriously bad for not leaving their offices. And, we like our desks and our coffee, and we tend to stay there. And what I learned early on in this sector, and I think that as a firm, we recognized it very early on, was that you really needed to get out behind your desk, and get to know the sector and get to know the businesses in the sector to truly understand and appreciate it. I can read and digest regulations really well, but you really don't get a flavor of the sector and the touch points unless you're out there and you're connecting with people.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's an excellent point, and we'd be sort of the same. We really need to get out there as well too. I mean, certainly for me, it was, especially at our booth, it was overwhelming at times. There was a lot of people coming by, and there's just a lot of things to do. For me, I think it hit home last year how many clients, how many people that we bump into on a regular basis are actually all in the city at the same point in time, right? So it's amazing. If you want to get a meeting together, the best place to probably do it is in Las Vegas. So for us, that was a big takeaway, trying to kind of coordinate or herd cats, for lack of a better term. That was a great opportunity for us there. And I just think it happens so quickly. It's only a few days. You really have to prioritize your time when you're down there.
So last year, the emphasis was on going public. We've seen a maturation of the sector. Prices are going up, prices are going down. There's M&A activity. This year we're doing the passport to Canada. We're sort of evolving. The Alliance is evolving and growing as the sector does. What's your process going to be? What's your strategy? Revolving around the maturation or evolving? Will there be a change in how you approach it?
I think we'll probably go in with the same approach this year. We recognize perhaps maybe some of the listings won't be as significant as they would have been historically, but we still see the sector growing, just even outside of North America globally. And so we'll still have our eye on the US and Canada because, especially in Canada, That's where, for us, that's where things got really started. But we're going to be looking at this thing more globally. We'll be looking at what's happening outside of North America, what's happening in Europe, what's happening in South America, Africa. Like those will be some of the areas that we'll be paying attention to and just sort of hoping to meet and see what's happening in those countries.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, Glenn. Listen, we are all watching what's happening in the market and we're very sensitive to it. Institutional investment has pulled back. It's very retail focused and people are demanding results, particularly for strategic partners who came in who want to see those results. With that said, there's opportunities in the market and both of our firms see those opportunities probably earlier than most because we're having those conversations now. Strategic partnerships are there as companies continue to look for sources of financing. I think strategic partnerships will be very big. This continued consolidation and M&A activity, and we're going to see some distressed assets that are available for purchase, and those will allow other companies to scale who can access the capital. And those conversations will shift slightly at the conference this year. Last year, as you noted, big focus on going public. There still is some good go public activity, but I think that the emphasis will shift slightly.
Well, speaking of balance sheets and financing and activity, I think that 2020 is going to be the year of the balance sheet, and it's either put up or shut up. And there will be consolidation, there will be an M&A activity. What line items, this is more for MNP, but what line items are you paying more attention to now as an accounting and audit firm? What are becoming more secondary as far as what you look for?
Yeah, so I think the obvious answer to that question is cash. Cash is going to be king in this industry for sure. And I think if ever there's going to be a time when that phrase is representative of a trend in a sector, today will be that day for the cannabis sector. If you don't have the cash to withstand or to sort of make it through the marathon over the next several months, years, it's going to be quite challenging for those companies. I think also too, like a couple of things that would stand out for me is we would have seen cannabis companies over the last couple of years stockpile fixed assets, buildings, equipment. I think we'll see a lot of that. We'll see some off-balance sheet financing for some of those things. So we'll start to see those things disappear, perhaps off the balance sheet.
Okay.
And I think those will be good signs, once again, generating cash for it. And then I guess the biggest thing is hopefully we'll start to see some retained earnings or deficit declines or retained earning increases. So for us on the balance sheet, those would be things that we'd be looking at.
Line items just don't have to apply to accounting. When companies are coming to you that want to go public or are exploring the process, is there a different sort of template that you're seeing now, or is there something that you're looking for? Is there anything coming in from Aird Berlis that is either red flags or green flags, more so this year going into 2020 versus last year and the year before?
Yeah, it's always been part of the listing process that you look at CapEx because you have to satisfy certain working capital requirements once you go get listed for 12 months. And this is a really sensitive time right now in the market. And there's a huge focus on CapEx. And you saw that with some of the Q3 announcements that came out where certain companies are refocusing some of their initiatives and their intention in order to preserve cash. And I think that that's going to continue in this current market environment. And hand in hand with that is the preserving of cash and being mindful of CapEx, but also looking at growth opportunities because you need those growth opportunities in the market. Investors want to see those stories, and you need to be thinking ahead to what those stories are going to be and how you're going to be able to execute upon those growth stories. If you're a Canadian LP, most of Canadian LPs are looking to those growth stories, and a lot of it involves international plays or Cannabis 2.0 products.
That leads right into the next question, Cannabis 2.0. What is it, and how does it apply to your organizations?
Well, for us, Cannabis 2.0 is really, when we kind of go back to 2013, 2014, when we started the marketplace, that was the mindset that we sort of approached the market in. We got involved early on, mainly because of our presence and our eminence in the food and beverage sector. So, and just that whole component of value-added manufactured goods. So I think, Cannabis 2.0 for us in Canada is definitely going to be about the next wave of what we would say value-added manufactured goods. And I think that there's a great opportunity in Canada to kind of expand that. And for us, we're really excited about that opportunity when you see the convergence of, maybe in a broader sense, the consumer packaged goods industry with the cannabis industry kind of coming together and producing some of the products that we'll be seeing on the shelves over the next 12 months.
Yeah, if you look at the market as a whole, it's probably a US $41 billion market. And of that $41 billion, 17% is ingestibles. That's edibles. That's
what we're going to talk to, like CBD, hemp, edibles, which just came into legislation recently in Canada.
Absolutely. And so companies are entering into strategic relationships and partnerships with people that have brand building experience. And we see that a lot of those relationships coming from the US, and opportunities that we'll continue to see over the next 12 months in strategic partnerships as companies continue to build out edibles, topicals, and extracts.
Well, speaking of opportunities, and we touched on it earlier, going international. Everyone's asking us, are listings down? Are you seeing less applicants? And the short answer is no. We're seeing less. We're seeing the same amount of inquiries coming from the United States, the same amount of tire kicking. It's just that the listed MSOs are taking them out and acquiring them, and we're seeing more M&A activity, like you mentioned earlier. But we're also getting a lot more interest from South America, from the Caribbean, from Africa. We listed our first German company in September. So the actual number of listings are staying the same. It's just the origin of where they're coming from has changed slightly, and I think the passport to Canada will reflect that.
Listen, until the U.S. changes their position and allows for U.S. listings, Canada will continue to be the avenue through which companies will access capital markets, which is great. If you look at the top companies that are listed on the CSE, those are U.S. MSOs or companies that have U.S. reach. And we see that, and you see Canadian companies looking to capitalize on that and get a toehold in those sectors by structuring deals around regulations so that they can be ready, either in the cannabis sector or as an initial step, focusing on hemp CBD.
So both organizations, actually all of our organizations, have partners who are located internationally, whether the relationship's official or unofficial. I know we have one part of the alliance, MGO, little shout out. What are you hearing from your international partners as far as things to look for in 2020, 2021, whether it's in their respective regions like Europe or Africa or Australia, or within their markets? Is there anything that you're able to glean from your international partners?
Yeah, from our perspective, I'd say we're starting to get a little bit of grumblings that are coming in, I say that on a positive sense, but
positive grumble.
Yeah. The challenge that we have is that all of our firms still connect back to U.S. markets and U.S. Service providers. So MNP would be part of the Praxity network. Some of our international or our European partnerships that would be part of that alliance they're still having their challenges because of the issues that are in the U.S. and some of our alliance members in the U.S. Are hesitant or have taken a position not to enter the market. So we would probably rely less on what we're hearing from them about European markets, and we've put a lot of emphasis on what our team needs to do here to sort of get connected in what's happening outside of North America.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've been in the sector for 5 years, and pretty early on, our practice went global.
Right.
Because we did the ICC go public, Uruguayan cannabis, recreational cannabis at a time when that was not legal here. And so that's always been a big focus of our practices. What opportunities were there going to be internationally? And we're seeing a lot. South America continues to be strong, and people are excited about what might happen when Mexico comes online. There's certain European markets that time will tell whether, what the numbers will be in Germany, what Malta can do, what we can do in Portugal and elsewhere. And of course, we continue to see activity out of Australia and Israel.
Well, this is, thank you for your time. I know we all have a lot of work to get back to. Are there any final thoughts or anything you'd like to say about the Alliance, about going to MJBiz, or about your respective organizations?
We're just very happy to be partnered with the CSE and MNP. We just think that it's a very good partnership, and we look forward to having some great conversations when we get to Vegas.
Yeah, as do we. Thank you again. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Sherri. Please check out their websites, mmp.ca and airdberlis.com, www.thecse.com. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to us and check out #finance. And again, I've been your host, Barrington Miller. Thank you and have a good day.
We're social here at the CSE. Each and every day we'll keep you up to date on trending topics that investors are talking about, such as cannabis, blockchain, and esports. Follow daily CSE news and events on your favorite social media platform: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You'll find exclusive interviews with leading entrepreneurs from a variety of industries, thought-provoking stories from across the world of finance, and updates from CSE events taking place worldwide. Join the conversation and connect with us today.